Hello, thanks for watching this training video all about group communications and engagement in Be Engaged. Everything we're going to walk through in this video requires officer access to a group in Be Engaged. That being said, if you need a group created for your club or office, or if you know there's a group already created but you and a few other people need access to that group, feel free to reach out to us at beengaged@binghamton.edu. To get started, we're going to head to a group and we're going to start with the group page, which is under the dashboard section of the left-hand menu in its own dropdown. The group page is an internal hub for your group that only members and officers have access to. You can do as much or as little with the group page as you want, but the basic things to do are to ensure that all the information on your group page, which is actually pulled in from other sections of your group, is correct, up to date, and matches the branding of any of your other presences online. So on different social media channels, on YouTube and other websites as well. When you first pull up the group page, this is what you're going to see. You can see over here, we have links to our various social media platforms, our list of officers here, badges, subgroups, and list of members up here, as well as channels here. Like I said, the branding of your group page, since it is a public hub online, public for your members, should match the branding of any other digital presence you have online. So you should make sure you have a cover photo and a logo here, and that the name of your group matches the name of your club that you use on Instagram or the name of your office that's on Facebook. It should all be consistent. And to do that, it's actually a setting under the settings section. So if we head back to manage, which will take us back to the group dashboard, and if we go to settings, under this group settings basics section, if you scroll down, there's a section for branding where you can upload a logo photo and a cover photo. And this is actually where you can set your social media networks as well. Under social networks, you can input links to your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and so forth. So what you add on these sections gets pulled into the group page seamlessly in their individual sections as well. And that actually goes for these sections listed on this top-hand menu. This About section is information pulled in from the settings page as well. We have our contact information here, our website here, officers. The members listed are all the members of our group that are uploaded in the member section. The events are all the upcoming events we have listed in the events section. Surveys, this would be pulling in any public surveys or forms that we've created. We don't have any in this group, but they would be pulled in if we designated that they should be visible on the group page. Officers display our club officers. My inbox shows all of the emails that have been sent from this group to the members. And then my membership is just where a person can become a contact if they want to, quote unquote, demote themselves from a member to a contact. If that's the case, then they actually wouldn't have access to this group page anymore, since the group page is a member benefit It's something that only members and officers have access to, like I mentioned at the beginning, but they can do that if they want. They can leave the group and they can decide on privacy settings and whether they want to unsubscribe from any emails sent. And the email section, so my inbox, that is all of the emails that you've received from this group. And you can actually pull them up if you wanted to. So that's kind of on the member side of things. It can apply to officers as well. But if you want to make sure that under that about section that your email is correct, that's actually under the settings section for the group as well. So we're going to head back there really quick. And just under contact information, you can put in your group email. If you have a physical address associated with your office, or maybe you have a house where a bunch of your club members live that you wanted to associate that with your group, that's where you meet and that's where you do official business. That's where you can input that address, as well as your phone and website. Going back to the group page, like I said, the group page is really something that you can do everything with if you want. If you want to cultivate a specific environment in your group and be engaged, where maybe it's more geared towards asking questions in the Be Engaged group and on the group page, you can do that with the group page. So that would actually be creating a channel. So you can see we have these channels listed here. So our general channel is where members or officers, you can decide who is allowed to post on the channel. They can post here. There's a discussion channel. So you can post and you can upload things as well, like photos, documents, links, and video URLs. And you can also view any files or links that have been uploaded. And you can see this officer discussion channel has a little lock next to it. So the interface is exactly the same as the other two. So you have the same upload options and you have the same files and links options, but this is a private channel. So that's the difference between the two kinds of channels you can create within your group page. So like I said, if we go home, if you want to make your group page, if you want to really encourage your members to engage with each other and to engage with your officers, and maybe you want to differentiate what you do and Be Engaged versus what you do in the group me and what you do in your Facebook group or any other way you're using different digital platforms, the channels and the group page would be a good way of doing that. So that kind of goes hand in hand with creating channels, since the group page itself is more informative. So you have these links, obviously, that we just went through, but the channels are really where you would encourage that engagement. So these have already been created in this group, but we'll create another channel. So we're going to click these three little dots over here, and we're going to click Create Channel. That's going to bring up the option to create either a public channel that everybody can see. So that's members and officers can see. And then there's also an option to create a private channel, which is only accessible to certain people that you designate. So we're going to do a public channel. We're going to call this Questions Channel. We'll make it more specific. We'll say Event Questions Channel. And then once you've added your name and your purpose, you can choose an icon. So we'll search for a question mark and a calendar. So that covers events and questions. And then we can also choose a color by clicking on this little drop down here. So we'll do blue. We'll click choose, and then we'll click save at the very bottom. And then our channel, once this reloads, should appear right on the group page. Oh, and that took us directly to the channel. So if we go home again, you can see our event questions channel is there. And because everyone can see it, everybody has access to post on it as well. So if we go here, you can see You can edit options here. And you can see the purpose we typed in and so forth. To create a private channel is almost exactly the same process. We'll click create channel again. This time we'll choose private channel. And we'll call this officer questions channel. We'll give this one an icon as well. And we'll change the color. We'll do a bright green. We'll click next, which will actually take us to another section of this pop-up where we designate who has access to this channel. So I am creating the channel, so I automatically have access. So I'm going to add one more person to this channel by searching for her email. She pops right up, so I'll select her and then click save. And you'll see the same thing. You'll see the page reload, and it'll take us right into our channel like it did for the public channel, but this time, obviously, we're in a private channel. So you can see it's at the very bottom. And like I said, the private channels are designated by the little lock icons. So this is our channel. And then if we go back home again, you can see all of our channels listed there. And to further customize the group page, if you click the settings button, you can decide on the links that are displayed at the top of the page. So these links right here, you don't have to have all of them displayed if you don't want to. So if you click settings, just by checking or unchecking any of these, they can be displayed or not displayed. So we have right now all the ones we went through. We're going to leave it at that. But if we say we don't have any surveys and forms, so let's uncheck that. That'll save. And then if we wanted to further edit what one of the options displays, you can click the little wrench icon and you can actually customize the name of the links at the top of your page, as well as your icons, titles, and descriptions. And then obviously turning the customization on at the very bottom and then clicking save. So we got rid of surveys and forms. So you can see it doesn't show up there now. And if we go back to settings, under other settings, you can decide if you want people to post on the feed. So by default, it's not an option, but you can allow them to. And you can allow members to upload documents and photos, submit events, and so forth. And you can also create a tagline. So we'll click save. And then we'll be good to go with our customizations of our group page. So like I said, the group page can really be what you make of it as an officer of your group. It's ideal to make sure that if you're not using it, that at the very least, everything is up to date in your group, since that gets pulled over to the group page. And especially more than anything else, that your branding is up to date, your group name is up to date, that you have the correct email address and contact information. And if you want to go further than that, and if you really want to customize things, we've walked through how to do that and how to edit the settings so that these links are further customized. And you can also create those channels for either everyone in your group, just your officers, a mix of both. Maybe your group has specific committees. You can create channels for different committees, or maybe you don't use the terms members and officers. Maybe you just use members and executive board or e-board members. You can customize all of that under that settings section and really make this group page your own and make it a place where group users, group members can come in and they can interact with each other and they can interact with you, ask their questions. The point is really to do what's best for your group and what makes the most sense for your group. So that is the group page. We're going to head back to the group dashboard to talk about creating tags under the members section. So to do that, we're going to head to members on the left-hand menu, and we'll be at the current members page. You can utilize tags within a group to organize your members and aid your officers in more effective communications. So there are two kinds of tags that you can create within your group. The first is a member tag, which you can see up here in the member tag section. And the second is a subgroup tag, which has its own section here. Member tags and subgroup tags function similarly in the process of creating them, but their actual functionality and how they work is different. So to create member tags and subgroup tags, you click this Edit Member Tags button, and then you click the drop down that appears. And then you click Create New Tag. This pop-up will appear. And you'll enter your tag name and click OK, which will assign it to that one person. And you can go along and you can assign it individually to that same tag you created to a bunch of people, or you can select everybody that you want the member tag assigned to, head to this right-hand menu, the three little dots, and then click Add Member Tag from the drop-down. And from the next drop-down, you'll choose your tag and then click Submit. You can see all these people have these tags added to them. And you can actually remove the tag the same way by selecting everyone that has it, heading back to the three little dots, but clicking the Remove Member Tag option. And then clicking New Member, which is the tag we created, and selecting Submit again. So that's the process for creating member tags, assigning them individually, as well as assigning them in bulk. The process for creating subgroup tags is the same. You have the same drop down here. You have the same option. Same option to create your tag, which we just did. So you can see now it appears in its own section. And again, you can go through and you can assign that tag to everyone it applies to, the subgroup tag. But unfortunately, you can't bulk assign subgroup tags to individuals. So that is one difference in the functionality of member tags and subgroup tags. And that traces back to the major difference in the functionality between these two kinds of tags you can create in your group. So the main difference, despite how similar they look and how similar it is to create them, the main difference between member tags and subgroup tags is that member tags, which were the tags up here that we created first, member tags are created by officers and only seen by officers. So members cannot see the member tags that they have assigned to them. So that would be useful if you are an officer of a group and you're planning a senior send-off. You'd be able to assign a tag to all your graduating seniors, and you'd be able to easily identify them, send them targeted messaging, which we'll walk through in a minute, and be able to more easily plan things because you have a list and it's an ongoing list because you can add people to it. You can add the tag to people anytime that you're in the system. It's not set. And that's a real example of using a tag that's private because they technically are private tags. They're back-end tags, as we call them. And they could be super useful to officers and mitigate confusion for members who may see their tagged a certain way, but not understand what the tag is for. On the flip side, subgroup tags, which is the tag we just created here, you can see subgroup tags are created by officers, but can be seen by anybody. Members can see their own subgroup tags. Officers can see members. Members can see officers' tags. And members can actually opt into subgroup tags on the group page. So if we head back to the group page really quickly, we'll click dashboard and then group page. If we scroll all the way down, there is a section to join subgroups. So members who have access to the group page, officers too, can come in here and they can say, okay, I want to be part of the Be Engaged newsletter. I'm a senior and I want to be part of any communications that go out about training videos. So they could theoretically go in and you can designate that you want all those tags assigned to your profile, which means that in our example, this would be, you'd be assigned and added to that list for communications purposes, especially for a newsletter. So it's a good way of encouraging people to opt in to targeted messaging, but also to encourage utilization of the group page. You can encourage people to go in and opt in that way. And it just makes things easier for you as an officer when you see that people are engaging with tags and that they want this specific information that you're sending out via the tags. So you'd have to pose it that way to your members. And to unsubscribe or to remove, quote unquote, remove those tags, you would just uncheck those options. So if we go back to members, we'll see the tags are still assigned to those people and we can remove them by clicking the Edit Tags button and then just the little X next to the tag. So like I said, you can't bulk assign subgroup tags to people like you can with member tags, but that is likely related to the functionality, the fact that people opt into subgroup tags as opposed to them just being assigned to them like member tags are. So while utilizing tags is really helpful for organization purposes and the ability to filter, so you can utilize these drop downs at the top, member tags and subgroup tags drop downs. So if I only wanted to see my advisory groups, I could just filter by them. I'll see all the people in my advisory group. If I only wanted to see my student ambassadors, same thing, just filter by them. And then that's kind of the start for how you build or how you orchestrate targeted messaging and Be Engaged. So the first step is those tags. And then the next step is just communicating that way. So we're going to run through how to send an email or how to build an email based on tags. So after you've assigned them, which we've done for our student ambassadors, you can filter by your tags. And then you can select everybody on the list you want to email, and you can click the Send Email button. You'll then be brought to this page where you can decide if you want to send a basic or standard email, or if you want to create and send a newsletter. We're going to run through how to do a standard email, but we have tons of resources and training videos about how to send newsletters. So if you're interested in those, you can email us at beengaged@binghamton.edu, or you can head to our training hub on YouTube. So we're going to click Email Composer, which is the standard email form, as opposed to the Email Builder, which is the newsletter builder. In the Email Composer, you're first going to see your list of recipients at the very top, and you'll see that they're all tagged correctly. You can add a CC or BCC email here. And as you scroll down, you're also able to choose a from email address, so it can be from you or from the main email address associated with your group, which we ran through how to set under that settings section under dashboard. And here we have the section to compose your email. So you can add a subject. So we'll call this upcoming events to look out for. We can add introduction fields as well. So you can have the Mail merge fields, which is pulls in the person's first name. So dear, insert first name here. You can also add attachments. And though they give you all of these templates that you can play with and you can create, I always recommend utilizing the email builder to create a newsletter and utilize the templates. It's just far more user friendly and it's more suited to building newsletter as opposed to this interface, which really is more suited to send a plain text email. As you can see from this text box, which looks really similar to what you'll see in Gmail or Outlook or whatever software you're using to send emails. So we're going to type up our email here. And you also have the options to add different effects. So you can bold things, obviously italicize and underline. You can change colors of the text. You can also change colors of the background to your text. You can add custom code up here. You can add links. You can add images. You can also change fonts and formatting. So you can make things much bigger. And when you're done, you can scroll down and you can add click boxes to your email. So these are just visual links, big visual links that you can attach to your email that are associated with events in the system, as well as surveys and forms and checklists as well. So if we attach that, and I'll find a survey or a form to attach so we can see how that looks. And you can see, you can also keep your profile here and add it to your email and attach checklists as well. And when you get to the very bottom, you'll see you have the option to schedule your email here with this calendar pop-up. But before you do that, you can either send yourself a test email, preview the email, or save it as a draft. And then once you've done one of those three things, you can either schedule it or send it right away. So if we click preview, which the system actually makes you preview every email before you send it, you'll see we have our email here. So here's the from email address, here's the subject, our text, and our click boxes. So like I said, these really are big visual links that if you click the button underneath them, it'll take you right to the live link in the system, which is nice because it catches people's attention. And once you're done, you can schedule it here, save and send it right away, or save it as a draft. We're going to save this email as a draft. And you can see drafts has their own section under emails off of the left-hand menu. There's also a section for tracking. So this gets really into the nitty-gritty of every person you've ever emailed and what they've opened, what they've clicked on in each email, and so forth. These are really in-depth stats. And you can get high-level stats under the sent section. So you can see in general the number of recipients, number of clicks, your percentage of opens, and any unsubscribes. And then the middle ground is probably this opens and clicks section of each email that's sent, which gives you, it does give you some granular information based on person and based on number of clicks and opens or what they've clicked, but it's definitely not as in-depth as that emails tracking section under emails. And the next thing we'll talk about is your external group website. So if you click website on the left-hand menu, you can see this page right here, which is your website builder. And this allows you to build an external website for the public associated with your Be Engaged group. If you don't want this option turned on and you just want this to link out to your official website, maybe off of the university website or off of your national chapter website, if you're part of a national organization, that is totally fine. You can just add the link up here that your website should redirect to. And then you can see if anybody clicks on your website, it'll take them to that. If you do want to build out your website and be engaged, I'm going to quickly switch to another group. And we'll go to website, which is just the same as on the left-hand menu. If I click this, this is what the website will look like. This is what your external Be Engaged website looks like. So they give you kind of a template that you basically can plop in information about your group. It does pull in information from your group. So the number of officers, members, events, and then emails and newsletters, as well as upcoming events, and then information about your officers and a map. So by default, the system's pulling that information in, but you can edit this information that's on the website. You can see off of here. You can edit anything here with this little edit button at the top. So I can click into any of these sections and click edit, and then I can just save it. If I wanted to edit this section, I can customize that further. You can also drag and drop sections, so you can move things around. You can use different widgets. So each of these sections is a separate widget, and you can drag and drop them from this section into your builder. And from there, it's really just customizing it to look exactly how you want it. And then you can also decide if you want these different items on your menu, what resources you want displayed. So we have some useful links here. We have our YouTube channel, our social media posts linked up, I think, on our Instagram or our Facebook. We have information for people to contact us, and then a link to the Campus Groups Help Center as well. But again, just by opening one of these, you can delete, you can move things around. Like I said, you can edit and delete whole sections. It's really up to you. And then contact just pulls into your contact information from your group. And if you head back into Be Engaged, each of these sections can be edited. The settings for themselves can be edited. So what was on the menu? So we had leadership team on our menu. We'll change that to B team. We'll click OK. Now if we open the website, we'll see B team is listed there. And you can nest specific things under different items. You can see all of these menu items are nested under resources. And you can also delete things. You can drag and drop things as well, what order you want things in. So we'll delete past newsletters from our menu. We'll delete documents, videos, and photos as well. So you can see now it's more simplified. So if we opened up the website builder again, now we have things way more simplified and just two options here: useful links and surveys and forms, which we can populate whenever we want. So like I said, this is an external website. So it differs from the group page in that the group page is just for members and officers. The external website, anybody can see. So it's linked out. If someone were to find the link to Be Engaged somehow, and they were to find your group on the group list, if you have a website and they haven't logged in, they're going to end up on this page. So it's good to, similar to what I mentioned with the group page, it's good to make sure your branding is up to date here and you have the correct information for your group or your office, your club, whatever it might be, just to make sure that, like I said, every digital presence you have is consistent and everything has a link to something else as well. So you're cross-referencing your Facebook on this, and on Facebook you promote your Be Engaged group, and your posts, you're reminding people to join your group on Be Engaged on your Instagram and so forth. That's good for communications and it's good for engagement as well. Heading back into Be Engaged, into your group, we'll X out the external website and we'll head to the left-hand menu. We're going to click More Tools and we're going to click Forum. So this is the discussion forum that you can create for your group in Be Engaged. We're going to actually head back into the group we were in before. If we go to More Tools, down to Forum. So you can see we've actually created previously different categories and sections within this forum for our group. So this is another way to encourage engagement. So you have channels on the group page, but you can also create forums that are specific to certain topics and then encourage people to ask questions and post things in the different forums that officers can go through and answer and make sure that members are getting the right answers. So you can see we have our section here, which is Baxter Bearcat Fan Club Outreach. So the section is all about outreach, and then the categories in each section are, we have an ideas category, a questions category, and then a plans category. So we can create these up in these options here. So you create a section here. So we'll call this Baxter Bearcat Fan Club Events. So we'll create another section, and then we'll create a category by clicking that button. Choosing the right section, keeping that ordering, and clicking Save. So you can do that for as many sections, categories, whatever you need to complete that. And then when you're done, you can view the forum here. Members will have access to this page, so they can go through and see what's on your forum. They can decide what they want to follow, and they can create posts within each section or category. So you can see they can go in and customize that. They can post things. They can upload images or whatever they want. And once they save it, you'll be notified that something's been posted as an officer. So you can go through and you can answer their questions. You can evaluate their ideas. And there's also a link out. So from the group page, if we head back there really quick, all roads lead back to the group page in this training, it seems like. If we go to settings, the forum actually has its own option there. And if we click save, that means it'll show right up on our home page up here. So you can see the forum, and this is what members will see. So it looked similar to the page we were just on. It's just nested inside of the group page right now. So they can go through and they can follow different things. They can click on these different sections and the different categories within. And if you click this button, it brings us right back to the manage section for the forum. And then the last thing we'll talk about in this video is under more tools as well. It's this useful links button. So we've talked a lot about cultivating engagement within your Be Engaged group and utilizing tools that will help with communications, whether it's consistency in communications or whether it's direct outreach and what helps with that. And creating useful links kind of covers a little bit of both. You can see we've created some already, so it's really easy to create a link. You just click the Create Link button. And you can give it a title. You can insert your URL. So we'll pull up our Instagram. And after you've added your comment, you can click Save. And your link will show right up. We're going to add a tag since this is a support resource. Our Instagram is fun and engaging for users, but it also is a resource for anybody utilizing the system. So it'll show right up. And you can also change up the ordering with this by dragging and dropping in this middle section here. You can edit what you've done, clicking that edit button, which brings up what we just saw. And you can also edit access, so who can see certain things. And that really comes into play. We'll edit that. And if we refresh, the numbers will change as well. And that really comes into play. The access section, you see access, you can decide where it's published. So you can see up here, and then who can see it. So we've published this on the group website, which is the external website we talked about, as well as the group page, which is the internal website we talked about for members and officers. The external website is for everybody. So because it's published both places, we'll make sure all of these are accessible to everybody. So access, yep, good there. Access, good there as well. And like I said, all roads lead back to the group page. So we're actually going to go back there again, and I'll show you how to add your useful links to this home menu as well. It's right under the settings button, and it's just links here. And we'll click this little wrench icon, and instead of links, we'll have it say support resources. And we can update anything else we want. We can, yes, we want to display the customization, so make sure that's turned on. But once it reloads, we will see it'll be visible. It's actually under the More section. So it's the first thing you'll see under More, and you'll be able to view all of the different links, which link out. We have one to our YouTube channel, which you can see here. The next to our Instagram, which will load. And then to the Campus Groups Help Center as well. Thank you again for watching this video. That's all we have time to run through in this video, or all the content that we wanted to cover. If you have any more questions about anything we've covered here, or again, if you need access to a group, or you need a group created for you and Be Engaged, we'd be happy to help. Or if you just have questions and want resources for what some of the things we talked about, feel free to reach out to us. That email again is beengaged@binghamton.edu. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.